people is a kind of adventure. A way of exploring lots of little worlds that exist within the Fedora. Even if one of those little worlds looks barren and uninhabitable from the outside, usually when you make contact with it, you'll find plenty of life and laughter there.
Number 1. First time I believe we're mentioning this thing, but nonetheless, we've got a handmade narrative, almost a walking simulator here going by the name Harold Halibut, which is about some future time where people are living on a city-sized spaceship submerged in an alien ocean. You play as Harold, which is a lab assistant for the ship's lead scientist who is desperately trying to find a way out for the ship to leave the planet and find a new drier home. Anyway, this game's coming to PCs and all consoles early next year.
Is that Dr. Computer? You may commence Stage D as discussed.
Something is afoot. Too many things that don't add up.
It all seems a bit fishy to me.
Let me tell you about Indika. Who is she, you ask?
Moving on to number 2, we have here from the old-time publishers 11 Bits, a brand new psychological semi-horror adventure game going by the name Indika, with a K. Now, don't let the trailer here distract you, it's halfway cutscenes. The game itself is a story-driven third-person puzzler, but an alternative reality where religious beliefs have crashed hard into reality. Here's the trailer. The game is coming to PCs and next-gen consoles early next year.
Poor girl. Of all the boring places, why do you want to go to heaven?
Kochaneczku, pomóż kobiecie w potrzebie. Uważaj tam na siebie. Byłaś stamtąd, jeśli wciąż niczego nie znalazłeś.
Number 3, I believe the one time we mentioned this one before was like December last year, but it's finally here with a demo. You can play it on Steam. We've got a 2D, 3D isometric pixel art and a survival horror game here going by the name Holstin. See, Holstin is made, as its developers stated, to supposedly capture the feeling of a retro classic, something like Blackthorn, but then even add more darkness into it, with, you know, inspirations from games like Silent Hill. Check it out, this one's coming out early next year as well. Revealed only half a day ago, at number 4 we have here a Microsoft exclusive, a psychedelic detective noir adventure going by the name of Nirvana Noir. Actually, first and foremost, a sequel to the couple-year-old award winner Genesis Noir, and based off of that game's events, you now have opened 2 parallel universes and have to fix it. Anyway, just like Genesis Noir, Nirvana Noir is a blend of animation and interactive story with pretty unique puzzles, supposedly coming out early next year. Moving on to number 5, we have Greenfield. I've mentioned the game before, it's maybe the most cinematic action platformer since we had the award winner Inside. This is story-driven puzzle platform adventure inspired by the Somerville and Inside. It's just more fantasy and setting about some far distant hidden islands, facilities that could potentially give people superpowers.
Yawn. My whole life, all my choices, led me to this place. When I took this job, I thought things would take a different turn. Well, ironically, they did.
At number 6, as the second most cinematic game in the list, we've got a story-heavy, decision-based adventure game from the same developers of Frostpunk and the previous game, This War of Mine, something here called The Altus, which we've seen no gameplay of legitimately until recently, but said to be wholly about what your decisions are specifically doing in your life, without you even noticing what they're doing in your life. Take a look.
And looking at all of them, I've never been happier with who I've become.
Coming from one of the best indie game developers in the industry, it's actually the same folks who made Epistory, Rotoforce, and Gravity Circuit, and we've got here a 3D open world adventure, or rather walking sim game going by the name Wisper, with just a W. And by that, it just means someone who's into wisps. So basically you're a wisp seeker, and you're also a wisp too. Anyway, this game is coming to PCs only sometime next year, it's not funny. Dungeons of Hinterberg was announced during the PC gaming show earlier in the year, and it's the first work of its developers. I believe we mentioned the game a couple times in the list. If you miss out on it, it's just a modern day fantasy adventure with the aim to put players in the shoes of a wondrous hitchhiker. It's just the life of a person like that. It's a very artistic game in nature with themes of nature, some occasional third-person combat, and a lot of exploration. Dark World Karma, on the other hand, at number 9, is a first-person story-driven psychological horror announced for Switch initially, which is now also coming to PCs in both generation of consoles whenever it releases. This news was aired with a new trailer. The game is made specifically to feel like you are really living through the character's memories itself, to know about his own story. This game is coming to PC, Switch, and on consoles early next year. Number 10. First I mentioned here, a new developer's first work. We've got here a new in town, story-driven escape adventure with RPG elements of a game set in the future, what's called The Time I Have Left. Now besides what you can see, whilst escaping this underground facility, you have to engage in turn-based fights on your way out, and witness a rather similar experience to the hack games, and a little bit of the Nonori games. Check it out, this one's coming to PCs only, early to mid next year.
Leading to the government's claim of eminent domain and subsequent seizure of the peninsula, the evacuation of 100,000 people, and the attempt and abject failure at containing the rumors that spread like wildfire.
Now, Pacific Drive, on the other hand, announced a little less than a year ago, is a running-based first-person driving survival game. That even makes sense. And technically, it's how the game is described by its developers, with the main aim in the story to bring over a scientific phenomenal stories from road trip adventures, mixing that with a somewhat stalker feel and vibe and world to it. Pacific Drive is due out on PlayStation 5 and PCs only, February 22nd next year.
The distinct honor to introduce to you the American people a new scientific frontier where the raw power, the potential is limitless. On this day, we welcome Faraday future.
Saw these things for themselves from the beginning. They saw them and then passed the word on. With this in mind, I myself have carefully looked into everything from the beginning.
Coming up behind that, we have a Jesus Christ simulation game in the making. I'm pretty sure you've heard about it lately since the crazy mods have been releasing on Skyrim. We do play as the Christ himself. A new game here called I'm Jesus Christ. It's almost an open world action and religious sim game in which you're tasked with converting pagans. Mostly, game is coming to PCs only early to mid next year.
Please, Lord, just heal my son.
Lord, if it's you, Peter replied, tell me to come to you on the water. I am doing this for you. I want you to know that the things you have been taught are true.
Complicated business, isn't it, Asher? And you've managed to bend, if not nearly break it.
Asher, it's your grandfather, John. This world you know, battered and broken, is not the world that was intended.
Coming up behind that, we have a remade version of the virtual reality time-traveling adventure game, The Wanderer, from the same original developers who also came up with the M-Theory. The Wanderer over here is a pretty darn good game. It's now rebranded to the Fragments of Fate, The Wanderer. Will launch on the PCs and the PlayStation 5 VR headsets with better visuals. You can now swim, jump, crouch, climb, zipline, and swing your way through time, all while going through all the nostalgia. Take a look.
Hitch up your britches, Asher. Something tells me we're in for one hell of an adventure!
Eagle? We still have no response from you. We presume the worst.
So, a newer man in a world of sun and neon.
We're not a charity, Arthur. Go. You will find a surgeon from his stools.
I would part a debtor from his assets.
I think I mentioned this one a month ago last, but in case you didn't get a good glimpse of it, this was after like an entire year of silence. We've got here finally some proper gameplay of the Repo Man. It's a first-person open-world RPG just like the Cyberpunk 2077, but with a dash of steampunk elements and fantasy, where you play the role of a Repo Man who collects dips. You know, it's a trailer. The game's set to be coming to PCs only, supposedly around holidays, if not early next year.
The light would be the death of you.
Soon you will be blind no more.
I'm Arthur Newstead, a Repo Man. I'm here about it.
Number 15, we have Glaciered. Now, in case you missed out on this one a few months ago, it's an action-adventure that takes place in a glacier-covered Earth about 70 million years into the future. Isn't that something? Technically, you play as some new species that have evolved from birds and get to live in a post-science fiction apocalyptic Earth setting. Basically, try to survive as a new species to see just whatever that means. Anyway, this game is coming to PCs exclusively in 2025 actually. Coming as its developer's first work here at number 16, we've got a base building action adventure in the sandbox in the making here called Reka, or Reka. Now, you probably know about the famous Baba Yaga. This game lets you play the role of one of Baba Yaga's apprentices itself, who's finding a way into community by being useful, creating potions and using magic to earn her ticket. Anyway, the game is coming to PC sometime next year too. Maybe just about the most relaxing single-player adventure game that's releasing in the following months. In case you haven't got a glimpse of it yet at the Game Awards, actually last year, we've got here at number 17 a game called Naiad, which is technically a child's adventure of an idea, a collection of feelings one could experience if they just lay on their back on a sunny day on a lake and just, you know, carefree. I mean, the trailer here pretty much indicates what you're looking for. This game is coming to PC, Switch, and the PlayStation consoles as well.
No, get out! They haven't finished it!
Oh, Sleeper's finished, aren't you? We had a deal, Sleeper. And yet, here you are, risking it all to try and break our contract to end your dependence.
And last but not least, we've got here, of course, Citizen Sleeper 2, Starward Victor. The video game will be available for Xbox Series X alongside PCs, remaining Microsoft exclusive, and it's going to be coming out mid to late 2024. This is a tabletop RPG, if you're just new to, where you can expect the same dice-based gameplay, except this time you will own a ship, build a crew, and take on contracts. Take a look where Company the Great was. We got a new trailer too.
Lent you a ship, even hooked you up with a contract or two. And yes, I took my share. But that only seems fair. I invested in you. But then, you went and did this. And now, you don't need this. And I don't need you anymore either.
Sleeper, go! Now! To the ship!